Right now at 6, a check on a parked car turns into a police pursuit, resulting in a fatal crash in Duquesne. Plus, it's the 4th of July holiday weekend. We're taking you on 2 stops for holiday festivities. Also, we'll take you to the Boomtown Car and Bike Show at Landreth Park in Joplin, and an interstate in Massachusetts is shut down during an hours-long standoff.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
One man is dead and another in custody following a crash this morning at 7th and Duquesne. Captain Trevor Duncan with the Joplin Police Department tells us they were called just before 8:30 this morning to the 800 block of South Rex for a vehicle blocking a driveway and that the driver of that vehicle may be passed out. Officers arrived and made contact with that driver and began a DUI investigation. The driver then fled the scene and began heading eastbound on 7th Street. A Duquesne police officer was in the area and began a pursuit of the vehicle. A short time later, the suspect approached the intersection of 7th and Duquesne and crashed with another car. The suspect was taken to the hospital with minor injuries and is in JPD custody. The driver of the other vehicle was taken to the hospital where he later died from his injuries. One person is dead and another critically injured following a single vehicle crash in Ottawa County this morning. Now, according to the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, 58-year-old Harold Forbes was riding his motorcycle when he hit a deer on Oklahoma Highway 10, a mile and a half west of Miami, just around 2 this morning. Forbes was taken by life flight to a Joplin hospital in critical condition. His passenger, 39-year-old Letitia Nolan, died later this morning from her injuries. The Pittsburgh Police Department's special response team is called out after a report of alleged domestic violence. Now, the incident happened early this morning in the 800 block of South Joplin Street. The victim said her significant other, 24-year-old Sean Woolsey of Pittsburgh, strangled her. Authorities got a search warrant and took Woolsey into custody. Now, Woolsey also had an active arrest warrant out in Crawford County. A 17-year-old juvenile was also located inside the home and taken into police protective custody. Beautiful day across the area. Hopefully it's going to last. Nick Kelly, will it?
I know, we're hoping that it certainly will, Chris, considering we had to put up with so much rain this past week. And of course, me being away, thankfully I like to think I brought back some nicer weather, but we are still enjoying partly sunny skies, a little bit warm outside, but not too terrible outside. Nothing underneath the clouds on the radar network. And not much else underneath partly to mostly sunny skies because of a good dome of high pressure at the surface centered near the St. Louis area. That's what's keeping us dry. What has kept us dry today, and that will continue to do so for this evening. Right now, temperatures not too bad, sitting in the mid-80s. A little bump in the humidity, though, makes it feel like we're maybe inching toward the upper 80s, but it's not intolerable outside. In fact, it's looking pretty good, even as we go through the rest of the evening. After sunset, we'll fall back into the mid-70s, 72 by midnight. I'm thinking upper 60s to start our 4th of July out, Chris. We'll see how the rest of the holiday tomorrow is shaping up in the week ahead, hopefully with some good weather here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. And it was good weather for 4th of July celebrations. Seneca held their annual Freedom Celebration event today. The events went on all day, including a 5K race, a parade, a pie auction, and even a tug-of-war competition. Seneca's Chamber of Commerce says celebrating the 4th like this is an area tradition.
Seneca has always just had a long tradition of celebrating the 4th of July. It just gets bigger and better every year. We literally have people that come from all over the country to come home for the 4th of July in Seneca.
Now tonight, the event will finish off with a fireworks show. One of the great things about a holiday weekend is that you don't have to wait till the actual holiday to start celebrating, and that could be seen at Pittsburgh's Lincoln Park today, where there were a ton of cool activities getting folks into the 4th of July spirit. One of the most popular things to do at the park, at least as far as the kiddos were concerned, was riding the rides at Kittyland. We spoke to a mom who said she brought her kids to Kittyland this afternoon because she used to have a blast there when she was young.
I used to ride down here when I was a kid and enjoyed it, and my whole family was raised here and played it all the time.
Pretty cool to bring your kids to the exact same experience?
Yep.
And they love it here.
They love it. They want nothing more than this, and they like rides.
Now, the park also featured arts and crafts, food vendors, and over at JC Ballpark, folks could check out the American Legion Baseball All-American Classic. And earlier today in Joplin, the Boomtown Car and Bike Show held their first event. Now, the car show was featured over 70 different cars and different food trucks. Proceeds from the event went toward the Glenna Ledford Memorial Foundation. One of the event coordinators and Glenna's husband says the foundation was created to keep her legacy moving forward.
4th of July last year, I lost my wife. We was together almost 17 years. She was always one to give to the community, to the youth. If a kid couldn't afford to play sports, we would pay for sports.
Organizers say the turnout today showcased a strong sense of community in Joplin. Topping Nation Watch, a tense standoff in Massachusetts between police and a group of armed suspects shut down part of I-95 north of Boston on this busy 4th of July holiday weekend. Authorities say the incident began when officers saw two cars pulled over with hazard lights on. Elise Preston reports from New York.
The hours-long roadside standoff with a group of heavily armed men in tactical gear began in the middle of the night just north of Boston.
You can imagine 11 armed individuals standing with long guns slung on an interstate highway at 2 in the morning certainly raises concerns and is not consistent with the firearms laws that we have here in Massachusetts.
Authorities say the men took off into a wooded area after refusing to put down their weapons. The standoff partially shut down Interstate 95 and triggered shelter-in-place warnings for the towns of Wakefield and Reading.
We were able to successfully resolve this situation through a combination of negotiation and some tactical maneuvers. Those individuals surrendered without incident to the state police stop team members that were at the scene.
Police took 11 suspects into custody and seized a number of weapons. They told police they were going to Maine from Rhode Island for training and that they are members of a group called Rise of the Moors.
The self-professed leader wants it very much known that their ideology is not anti-government. The investigation that follows from this interaction will provide us more insight into what their motivation, what their ideology is.
Authorities are investigating and working to determine what charges they will face. Elise Preston, CBS News.
And the suspects are expected to appear in court on Tuesday. And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Radioman Second Class Don Seeley served in the Navy in the Pacific and Korea, his hometown, Parsons. And we are proud to recognize Radioman Second Class Don Seeley, tonight's four-state hero. Well, coming up, a new study taking a look at what foods can prevent migraines. We'll take a look back at this week's top medical stories. Plus, Russia reporting a record number of COVID deaths. Topping Health Watch, a new study looks at which foods provide migraine relief. Plus, do cancer patients need a COVID-19 vaccine booster shot? Bradley Blackburn has a look at some of this week's top health stories.
About 6% of cancer patients who get the COVID-19 vaccine do not develop an immune response to the virus. That's according to researchers in Texas who now question if patients should receive a third booster shot. Doctors say cancer patients should continue to take precautions, including masking and social distancing. A new study highlights disparities black men face with prostate cancer. Black men are 3 times more likely to die from the disease. Researchers at New York University say black men could benefit the most from advanced screenings, but are 11% less likely to get them. And a diet high in fatty fish could help people battling migraines. A National Institutes of Health study finds patients who consume diets lower in vegetable oil and higher in fatty fish reported nearly 40% less migraine pain. Those are some of the week's top health stories. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
South Africa has approved for use the CoronaVac COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by Chinese company Sinovac. That's according to a statement by the country's Department of Health. Officials said that the approval was, quote, a turning point and much needed for the country's vaccination rollout program. Now, as for Friday, 5% of the population have received at least one vaccine dose. South Africa is among the worst hit countries on the continent, with the COVID-19 Delta variant being the now dominant variant in the nation. Russia has reported 697 COVID-19 deaths as of today. That's the highest number for the 5th consecutive day, according to the country's coronavirus task force. The total number of deaths now stands at more than 137,000. Russia has registered over 5.5 million cases since the beginning of the pandemic. Moscow is the city with the highest number of infections in the country, more than 1.3 million so far. Thousands of people took to the streets today in Brazil to protest against President Bolsonaro. Protesters are calling for the impeachment of the president, more vaccines, and a new strategy to deal with the pandemic. The demonstrations come one day after Brazil's federal court authorized an investigation into whether Bolsonaro committed the crime of malfeasance in purchasing Covaxin vaccine. That's the third large protest against Bolsonaro in the last 2 months. So far, Brazil has recorded over 18 million coronavirus cases and more than 500,000 deaths since the pandemic began. Later on the KOAM News at 6, an attempt to break a record in an event beloved by so many.
Plus, it was nice that we saw the rain clear out for this holiday weekend, but we'll end a return for the week ahead. Forecast it next. After we had to put up with quite a bit of rain and thunderstorms and heat and humidity throughout the course of this week, it was nice that we felt a lot better yesterday and certainly drier. But with all this dryer in place, as Doug pointed out the other day, that certainly had a lot of potential to heat things up once we had mostly sunny skies back in play. That's why we went into the mid-80s yesterday afternoon. Not a bad morning, though. We dropped back into the mid-60s this morning and back to about 87 so far at Joplin Regional. So a little bit warmer, but we're staying away from the heat for the time being. I think we'll do that again for tomorrow, staying warm but dry for our Sunday. Sunday being our 4th of July holiday. But throughout next week, I do see temperatures trying to push very warm, not a bit hot, especially for each afternoon next week. And that's despite some rain chances looking to return as we look on down the road. In the meantime, though, we're still looking pretty good from 7th and Rangeline. We'll call that a partly sunny sky. No threatening clouds whatsoever. And despite the cloud cover, we're still warm at 85 degrees. Calm breeze in place and a dew point in the mid-60s. Makes it feel just a little bit warmer. Feels like 87 in Joplin. Most of us pretty much faring the same way. Most of us in the mid-80s, maybe a few lower 80s as you work closer to Table Rock Lake. But you factor in these dew points, it does feel like we're, again, pushing mid to upper 80s. But still, considering where we are in early July, these numbers in the mid-60s, our dew points, they're not bad. Yeah, it feels a little sticky, but at least it's better than being in the soupy or muggy range with those dew points in the 70s. We'll keep things pretty good for the evening. And as we go into later tonight, temperatures in the mid-70s by 10 o'clock, lower 70s by midnight. And I'm thinking most of us will drop back into the upper 60s as we keep quiet once again, like we have all day long throughout the course of the region and much of the Central Plains. That's because of high pressure parked right on top of the St. Louis area. That's what kept us quiet and nice throughout the course of the day. A frontal boundary stalled out to the west. That's going to keep any big thunderstorms well to the west of us before we see this cold front trying to make a play toward us by, let's say, the middle of next week. But we got to wait for this upper level ridge to buckle down, and then we can see a few subtle waves try to push that front our way later on. Until we see any of that action head our way, we'll just keep things mostly clear to start the evening out. Then I wouldn't be surprised if from any dying storms out west, some of that cloud cover tries to skirt our way. But we stay dry to start your 4th of July out as overnight lows drop back to about 67 degrees. And I think we look okay throughout the day tomorrow. It's going to be warm, at least a little bit warmer compared to today, but most of us staying away from the heat, away from the 90s. Still a little bit warm though, with highs around 88, but we keep that southerly breeze light. We are dry under partly sunny skies, so we're not looking bad for the 4th whatsoever. Looking on down the road though, we do see as we go into, let's say, Tuesday, we've got that front to the north trying to work in, and you can see with a few waves trying to ride in along the jet stream. We are going to watch for chances for rain and thunderstorms. In fact, I'll show you on the 7-day forecast. 89 for Monday, for those of you taking the extended holiday weekend into Monday, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's when that front to the north works in. We'll see that result in some isolated scattered storms, and that will still keep us right around 90. I'm thinking 91 on Friday, then a stronger front wants to come our way on Saturday, Chris, and if that holds true still, maybe a few storms Saturday morning, but that'll knock highs back to 83 by next week.
Not a bad forecast overall. I mean, given the 4th of July historically in this area, it's usually either raining or it's just downright miserable outside. So this is pretty good.
Yeah, thankfully we're not dealing with either of those this time around.
And we've had enough rain that, you know, it's all right to set off fireworks out here.
Yeah, it really put a damper on any firework fire risk, so we're definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, I know out west they're dealing with that, so definitely nice to see us. We'll have a good holiday weekend here.
Yes.
Make sure you take advantage of it. Somebody else taking advantage of the holiday weekend. It's game 2 of the Royals and Twins series tonight.
Yes, we'll have the updates from that Kansas City game coming up. Plus, we caught up with Outlaws head coach Chris Dawson ahead of tonight's game against the Playmakers. That and more next. The Outlaws fell to the Renegades 6-2 at home on Friday. A 4-run first inning for Jeff City lifts them over Joplin. The Outlaws managed to cling on to the first place spot in the South Division. Their record stands at 10-9. Tonight, they host the Joplin Playmakers for an out-of-league matchup. It's a low-pressure game tonight with a focus on just enjoying the game. And head coach Chris Dawson says it's come at a perfect time in the season.
In the summer, you got to find those days where you can just relax. You know, it's especially us moving forward. We don't have a single off day in the month of July. So having games like tonight and having games like tomorrow down at in Springdale are going to be huge because it's days that we can just kind of step back and relax and celebrate the 4th of July and just have some fun, which is much needed for these kids. You know, they put in so much work throughout the week. For them to just kind of let their hair down and have fun is huge for them. And so it's going to be fun tonight.
The Royals snapped a long 9-game skid on Friday with the series opening victory against the Twins. Alberto and Perez both launched homers, leading to Kansas City's 7-4 win. Now, these two teams share almost the same record in the Central Division. Kansas City owns one more win. They hit the field for Game 2 today. After trailing 2-0, the Royals come back to win 6-3. Edward Olivares hits a 2-run jack to give the Royals the lead. Hunter Dozier tallies 3 RBI. St. Louis coming off an exciting victory in Colorado on Friday night. The Cardinals tied it at 3 to force extra innings. An inning later, the score leaped to 9-3, in large part due to a Harrison Bader grand slam. The Cardinals slammed the door on the Rockies to even up the series. Game 3 has a late start tonight. We'll have updates at 10. The Atlanta Hawks face elimination tonight as they host the Bucks for Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Milwaukee leads the series 3-2. Oklahoma Sooners alum and Hawk star Trae Young has missed the last 2 contests, dealing with a bone bruise on his foot. His status remains questionable for tonight. Tip-off in Atlanta is set for 7:30 p.m.
Not looking too bad. It's nice that the Royals have finally been able to snap that skid they were on. I mean, that was getting ugly there for a while.
Yeah, and a chance to make it 3 in a row tomorrow.
Well, hopefully they will make it 3 in a row. We'll be looking for those highlights tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Danny, thank you so much. We'll be right back right after this. Coming up tonight at 10, we're going to have the latest on the fatal crash in Duquesne following a brief police pursuit. Plus, communities already getting 4th of July celebrations underway. We're going to take you to 2 of them. And we're heading out to Landreth Park for the first ever Boomtown Car and Bike Show. Those stories and a lot more coming up tonight at 10. Well, a teeter-totter record-breaking attempt is now underway, and it has one man dreaming big. Now, 50 years ago, he set the record and has been thinking about breaking his own record for most of his life. Now he says he's in shape and hopes it'll be fun for all of his kids. He and his partner are hoping to distract people with something fun and give everyone something to smile about. It marks the 50th anniversary of the previous record of 216 consecutive hours that was set in Sacramento, California in 1971. The attempt runs for 10 days through noon on July 10th. Now, that's not really the place to be outdoors in this kind of heat for 210 solid hours, but if the weather was all right, who could sit out on a teeter-totter for 210 hours?
I don't think I could. I'd have to get up at some point.
I mean, I guess it'd have to be 211 hours to break the record. Danny?
I don't think I'd make it.
I mean, it does look like a lot of fun. You're just going up and down.
Yeah, and even considering where they tried to break it, though, you have to admit, it looked like they had hats on. They were underneath shade. At least it looked like they were under a pavilion of some sort. So hopefully they were trying to do their best to keep cool.
They definitely need to. And something we need to keep an eye on is keeping it cool around here. Not too hot, but...
Yeah, nothing too terrible by any stretch. It's going to be warm for our 4th of July, but most importantly, it's going to be dry. partly sunny tomorrow. Highs are 88, 89 on Monday for those extending the holiday weekend into Monday. But then, right when most of us will safely head back to work on Tuesday, we'll have highs floating near 90 for the rest of the week. Maybe some rain chances Tuesday through Thursday, but I think we can get a stronger front. And 80s back in here by Saturday.
Not a bad forecast. Danny, Cardinals coming up tonight.
Yeah, they've got some momentum to build off of, so
It's
hopefully
about
they
time,
can.
too.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were saying.
So hopefully they can get 2 wins against the Rockies.
See, we're rooting for those Cardinals and those Royals down here because, I mean, they just have not been doing well. So Nick here rooting hard for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can get something.
We need to get the momentum back and keep it going.
It's about time to report on some wins over here. So
we do need some wins. Guys, thank you so much. That's our time for now. Remember, we're always on at KOAMNewsNow.com and with that app. And thanks for making us part of your night.
Salon service is provided by